chocolate. Oh, howdy guys! How we been? We been alright? How we doing? How's the Fuji prices going? I'm not talking about film, those guys, they don't make film anymore. The digital cameras, I speaketh of the digital cameras. I speaketh of the digital cameras. They're getting pretty expensive now, right? That's alright, because today, my friend, I've got another option. I've got to tell you about a great camera that a friend introduced to me. So I suppose you could say we're just friends, helping friends out. So take a seat, get yourself a glass of water, or whatever you're drinking these days. It's been a while. No judgment. Get comfy. You know what? The world can wait, man. The world can wait. It'll be there when we're finished. But for now, check out this camera I got. I think you'll be glad you did. I think you'll be glad you did. Of course, we're talking about the Canon 6D. Dear traveller, welcome! Here we are back at it. Guys, let's talk about the Canon 6D. Why are we talking about the Canon 6D? Because Fuji prices are ridiculous. You thought fuel got expensive over the past 3 years. You thought bread got expensive over the past 3 years. You thought toilet paper got expensive over the last years. You're wrong. Fuji cameras got expensive. They got really expensive. Really expensive! Why? I don't know exactly why. I don't know. But they were popular, and then they stopped being popular, and now they're popular again. I don't understand that either. I don't understand how it's gone full circle again and again. Now Fuji's popular again. It's as if people didn't realize that at the start. They're good cameras. I don't blame Fuji for being popular. I've got no problems with that. But I'm priced out of the Fuji market. I really am. And I think I'm not alone. I think there's a lot of people who want it. But I'm here today to give you a different option. I'm here today to spread the word of another camera that I think by the end of this video, I think you're going to be glad I told you about. Now, the only reason I'm sharing this information with you is because someone was nice enough to share it with me. A friend of mine that I met through YouTube told me about this camera. And after a few clicks and a few researchings, I'm so glad I got one. I am so glizzy glad that I got this camera. And of course, I'm talking about the Canon EOS 6D. 6D. Now, as a camera nerd, I know I'm talking to camera nerds. I know that everyone who's on this channel is a nerd. You wouldn't watch this channel for any other reason, okay? So you're a camera nerd. And when you think of Canon full frames, you're going to think Canon 5D Classic. You know why? Because I respect you. That's why. And you know that the Canon 5D Classic has one of the best sensors in the world. That thing basically produces paintings. If you didn't know about that, the Canon 5D produces paintings. Best camera ever, super cheap price. So why would I have the Canon 6D when the Canon 5D is just so good? No sensor comes close to the Canon 5D. Well, let me explain it to you. It's kind of like, if I can talk about the 6D and the 5D and compare them just quickly, I'm not going to go into full depth comparison because that's not what this video is about. But if I was to look at the Canon 6D versus the Canon 5D, To me, it would be kind of like comparing the Fuji X Pro 1, which everyone knows the colors are just like sensational. Compare that to the X Pro 3, which is a lot newer. It's got like more megapixels, you know, crazy specs. It's awesome camera, absolute beast. Leaves the X Pro 1 for dead. But the X Pro 1's just got these colors and there's just beauty to it and this simplicity to it. That's the kind of like the difference between the 5D Classic and the 6D. The 6D is the newer brother. He's cooler, he's a bit awesome, and he's got some features. But this 5D's got the better image quality, right? In my opinion, I think the colors of the 5D are better. So why, on this great earth, would I buy myself a 6D if I know the 5D is better? That's what we're going to talk about today. The Canon EOS 6 Dizzy D. Now let's throw up some specs. Let me read to you. Sit back, recline, relax, and let me read to you. The Canon 6D came out, or was at least announced, on September the 17th, 2012. Remember 2012? Boom, that's so long ago. Right, this is a 20 megapixel camera. So already you're pretty high up there with your megapixels, okay? This ain't no slouch. Right, it's got a 3-inch screen, fantastic screen on it, who cares? Full frame sensor. Kodak full frame sensor. This one's rolling with the Digic 5 Plus. So Digic 5, it's a CMOS sensor, right? And this bad boy's got 20 megapixels. We've got a 3.2 inch, no, sorry, 3.2 image ratio, 3 to 2, 3:2. I don't know how to say that. I don't know how to express that to you. ISO is like a massive 102,000. It's a massive ISO, you know. That's one, you know, I'm going to get to it. I'll get to it. There's no rush. We're not rushing here, are we? Any of you guys in a rush? I didn't think so. Number of focus points. We've got 11. Big deal. Does it shoot? Yeah, it shoots video. Shoots video. It does a decent job of it. A lot of people don't rate the video. A lot of people say, oh, it's a waste of time. It's neither here nor there, not good enough. But you know what? Coming from the 5D Classic, I was so happy to have video. on this bad boy. So yeah, I'm really happy it's got video actually. And it's decent. I've messed around with it and it's decent. We'll throw some footage up later on. We'll, you know, just remind me later if I forget, but we'll throw some footage up later. And tell me what you think. But that's what we're looking at. So Canon 6D Classic. Comparing it to the 6D, I guess you could call it a 6D Classic. Yeah, there was a 6D Mark II, so you could call it the 6D Classic. There you go. I'm phrasing it here, the 6D Classic versus the 5D Classic. So why would you be interested in the 6D Classic over the 5D Classic? Now, I hate YouTube videos that are like 5 reasons to love this, because those reasons are out of context. And I could find 5 reasons to cut both your hands off, you know? Doesn't mean you want to do it. Doesn't mean I'd advise to do it, but I can find 5 reasons. Oh, it'd be lighter. It would be cheaper on gloves. It would be more of a conversation starter. You know, like you could think of 5 reasons, but who cares?
It'd also be lighter.
So I hate these videos that are like 5 reasons why the 6D is better than the
hand weight. I don't think
if you're making those videos, stop. Please.
I don't think they'd be light.
Please, sir.
I think a hand would be pretty heavy.
But why I would suggest that you stretch out
so you'd be lighter
and get yourself a 6D.
On the scales. I just lost 5 kilos.
Especially now, while the Fuji boys are just racing ahead of us. They're just racing ahead and they're all excited about their all crop sensors.
I'm keeping them.
These are the reasons why I would
That'd probably
pick
be
a
my
6D.
first question. Did you keep them?
Now, if you cannot afford a Fuji, if the Fujis are gone, and you're thinking, well, what do I do now?
Great way to start a conversation.
I'm Fujiless. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. Get yourself a Canon 6D. Why? Okay, straight out of the gate, full frame sensor. Bam! Full frame sensor. Okay? That's already you have trumped Fuji users around the world because you've got a full frame sensor, okay? Which means you can adapt all kinds of glass, all kinds of lenses. That's awesome. Go to town. Canon 6D. Okay? Full frame sensorino. Now, the second reason is because I'm losing it. Let me take a break. We don't need to rush this. Yeah. Deer trap. Wait a second. We've already done that. Okay. Second reason for getting the Canon. Okay. Here we go. Hear me out. Hear me out on this one. Okay. This bad boy is rugged. Okay. The Canon 6D. I got it in my little paws. I got it in my little meat claws right now. This little fella is so dang just rough and ready, man. You know, I'm guessing it's weather sealed. I'm pretty sure it's, you know, something like that, weather sealed. But it's just so much sturdier than what I've used of Fuji. Like, this is a brick. This thing is literally a solid brick compared to Fuji. Now, don't get me wrong, Fuji are solid cameras. They're pretty tough. A lot of them are weather resistant. The XT1, you know, XT2, you know, whole XT series weatherproof and stuff. And I think the X Pro 3 is weatherproof. X Pro 2, I don't know. X100V is weatherproof. But even though they're weather sealed and all this kind of stuff, I still don't feel that it's nowhere near as close as what the Canons have got, right? Like these particular Canons, right? These things just feel so rough and ready. Now, I give my Canon 6D, I let my 3-year-old daughter take photos on it all the time. She walks around the house with this thing, autofocus, and she just snaps a whole bunch of photos. That is awesome, right? That is awesome to be able to just, especially if you're a family person, you know what I'm talking about, right? You know what I'm talking about. If you got kids and you're fascinated by cameras all the time because you're a camera geek, no doubt your kid's looking up at you and they're like, "Oh, Daddy, can I take a shot, Daddy?" Because I'm guessing that's, you know, what all kids sound like. "Oh, Daddy, can I take a shot on your big honking camera, please, Daddy?" And if I'll be honest, when I had my Fuji X100F, no way I'm letting my kid take a shot on my Fuji X100F. Like, it's just not going to happen. It's just too fragile. It's too easy for it to get broken. And it's expensive. Like, it's an expensive camera. That's just me. I'm sorry, but that's just me. When I had the Fuji X100 Classic that I bought for under $300, yeah, you know, go for it, kid. Go take as many photos as you want. No worries. But in the back of my mind, I thought this thing's going to die. Like, if she drops it, it's done. It's finished. And then the X Pro, same thing. I didn't really let my kids touch the X Pro. Whereas this one here, man, like the Canon 6D, go for your life, mate. You could hand it on to anyone. And that just makes it so good because I'm not at all concerned about it. And you might be thinking to yourself, "Well, mate, I don't have kids. That whole point's invalid to me." No, it's not. It's still valid because, one, you might have kids. You might have one on the way. You don't even know about it. Okay? You might have one right. You don't even know. I'm just giving you a heads up. Second to that is that I've been shooting this camera up in the mountains all over Australia, and all of a sudden, it starts raining. And all these Fuji boys, ducking for cover. All these Olympus boys, ducking for cover. Mate, Canon, no problems, mate. Let it get wet. Let it rain. I have no cares whatever. This thing cops the weather. No problems whatsoever, okay? The lens is a nifty 50. It cost me $50, right? And there's nothing really perishable on it that I'm too concerned about. So that alone means that I'm taking it out more, you know, tossing it in a bag if I need to. I'm not concerned, I'm not worried. It doesn't feel like I'm at any loss. Whereas with a Fuji, I'm always kind of babying it around a little bit. I'm always, you know, worried. It's, you know, if I scratch it, if I wear it, if the dial pops off, if the screen breaks, you know, I'm just always concerned. Canon, no concern on my earth. No concern at all. The thing is absolutely, like, bulletproof in my opinion. It's bulletproof, right? Now, I'm sure they do die. I'm sure they do have, you know, faulty issues and things like that. But for me, it just keeps firing. It's an absolute workhorse. So let's just recap. So far, you got the fact that it's a full frame and the fact that it's a tough dog. It's a tough dog, right? Straight out. Let's keep marching through the gates. Other thing is, and this won't apply to that many Fuji cameras, but just something to keep in mind. The Canon 6D's got built-in Wi-Fi that can, you can, you know, zip the photos from your from your camera to your phone, right, with the little Canon app, and it works fantastic. The Canon app works, no issues with it. It's stable. Pretty sure it was free, whereas I think the Fuji one cost money. Don't quote me on any of this, but that's my experience. Or maybe it was the Ricoh one that cost money. Anyway, but yeah, you can drop photos from here straight to your phone, and then edit it on your phone, which is going to be another point further down the track. Remind me about that one, so I don't forget, because I need to talk about editing. But yeah, it's got the Wi-Fi built in. To me, that's just a huge comfort. Now I know you can get those cards that have built-in little Wi-Fi thing, but they're pretty expensive, man. Like, they're not cheap. They're not that cheap. They're you could probably grab a nifty 50 for one of the prices of those cards. But look, it's true. You can get you can get an SD card that's got built-in sort of Wi-Fi. But this camera's got it built in anyway, and I think it's absolutely fantastic, and you're good to go. I guess it's worth saying is that compared to all Fuji prices now, the 6D is cheaper than every single Fuji product on the market, pretty much, bar like the little point and shoot, like the really, really little point and shoot cameras, and maybe like a XT, or I don't know, XT10 or something, I don't know. XT20 you might get cheaper. I honestly don't know. I've lost touch with Fuji prices. They've just gone too ballistic for me. But it's pretty much the cheapest you're going to get. It's under every Fuji possible. So that's a good thing. I got mine really dirt cheap. 420. 420 with a lens. That's the guy that chucked in the 1.4 50mm, which is a stonking lens. Again, he thought it didn't work. Turns out it did. Full of fungus, but then I made that video just to prove that fungus doesn't even matter. It makes it look awesome. So it's just a free lens. Grabbed some other lenses as well to go with it. I got the 28mm, so it's kind of like a Ricoh GR, but it's massive. It's like a GR but huge. But then again, full frame, right? Full frame. So I'm absolutely pumped about that. Another thing is it does decent video. For my needs and for what I think decent video is, it does decent video. And I'm really happy with it. So that's another bonus too. Obviously, another reason is the Canon colors. They're good colors. Are they Fuji colors? Okay, maybe they're not Fuji colors, but Canon's still really good, and they've got amazing skin tones. It's a fantastic jumping off point. Like, you know, it ain't no Sony. Let's put it that way. It ain't no Sony. It's Canon. You got pretty decent colors coming out of this sensor. And just being honest with this camera, with all the Fuji cameras I've ever used, I've always used predominantly the rear screen for composition. I've always used whether that was the X100 Classic, the X100F, the X Pro one. I'm always using the rear screen to compose. Now I can use the EVF, and I actually like the EVF on the Fujis, but I just don't. There's something about using that EVF that just I don't enjoy at all. There's something I can't like. It's good. There's nothing wrong with it. It's actually fantastic. The X Pros and the X100s, what an amazing feature to have that EVF. But I just don't use it. I really don't use it. I just use the back screen, and I find that's a bit, I don't know, it's a bit, but with the Canon 5D and the 6D, I've always got the screen switched off at the back, and I'm just using that viewfinder constantly. Viewfinder's the way to go. I never do live. It's always using that viewfinder, and it's a beautiful viewfinder. It works great. It's an SLR or digital SLR, so you got that full field of view, and it's great. It feels so built into its ergonomics. It's like built into its ergonomics is the ability to use that viewfinder and really get the most out of it and just feel good using it. So that engages me so much more when using this camera compared to a Fuji. I really get to know it. I put my eye into the glass, and I don't know, you build a bit more of a bond with it. So just to finish off the reasons why this camera is an absolute beast, and I think it is comparable to Fuji cameras and can compete with any Fuji camera on the market, is full frame. It's plenty fast. It's rugged as hell. It's cheap. It's relatively cheap now. And, you know, you got your Wi-Fi. You've got massive lens options. And the Canon lenses are cheap. But, you know, you could even go and put some, you know, third-party lens, full-frame lenses, vintage lenses. Oof. You got the Canon colors. You know, you really can't go wrong. You really can't go wrong. Great EVF. Great viewfinder. Sorry. Great viewfinder. Now, let's talk about those colors. Canon colors are great. Do I edit them? Like, how can we get more of a Fuji film sim vibe out of the Canon? Okay. Now, I've got a dirty word that I know is like, I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't say this. I know this is bad, but I'm going to say it anyway. What I've found works awesome with the Canon, and this is just, you know, like workflow wise, to compete with the Fujis, is you take your shots, right? You set up your camera. I don't really care much about the Canon setup. Like, I just shoot it as it comes. The colors seem great. The files seem okay. I'm shooting JPEGs. I don't need to shoot RAW. If I was doing a paid gig or these images were really, like, you know, important, sure, I'd be shooting RAW, but it just doesn't really matter at this stage. It's not worth the size. I import the photos onto my phone, and then I've got Lightroom on my phone, which I can edit and tweak a few things. And I know that professionals right now are just cringing and rolling their eyes and just like, you know, you edit your photos on your phone. I know. But out of all the things I could be doing with my phone, I think editing photos is probably one of the most wholesome. Wholesome's the word I'm looking for. One of the most wholesome things I could be doing is just sitting around editing a few photos, and it just works with my life. It works, because get this, I know this is going to blow your mind, and if you've never thought like this could really just spin you. The camera works for me. The photos work for me. I don't work for the photos. I don't work for the camera. So I get to choose how and when I edit my photos and how and when I do it, right? I make that choice. And I'm not going to have someone be like, yeah, but you need to get a monitor that's got pure color and you can really edit. I don't care. Doesn't mean nothing to me. If I had a paid gig and someone was paying me 10 grand to do a photo shoot, yeah, of course, bro, I'd go nuts. But it's for me. All these photos are for me. I don't care. And for me, this is plenty enough. Don't need any more than this. So I'm editing on my phone. I bring the photos in. I've got Lightroom there. But then I found out about this other app, and you're going to judge me for it. And that's okay, because I'm ready for it, right? But the app I'm talking about is, and please forgive me if I'm saying this wrong. Please forgive me because, you know, I'm a bit of an old boy, and I don't know all the cool stuff. I'm not a cool person, but I want to call it Visco. That's kind of what I've been calling it, Visco, but it's VSCO, right? I don't know. It's some editing app, and it seems really like, you know, they almost feel like Instagram filters, right? You just swipe, and it just gives you a different look. But I have to admit, where's my mouse? Bam. Okay, wow, this is the third time of me trying to record this one video. I can't believe it. So I was talking about Visco, all right? Now, please understand that Visco, I'm not buying the paid subscription. No. I'm just using the free little, you know, sample pack they give you. That's plenty enough for me. It's all I need. It gives me just a little bit of a feel. So I run those images into Visco. We're going to call it Visco from now on. Apologies to the creators if I'm calling it the wrong name, but hey, you can just deal with that. So I import the images into Visco. They've got 5 or 6 sort of little quick images I can add to it, little filters, and it just gives me that sort of look, that look of that kind of Fuji recipe, sort of, you know, it's like the building blocks. And then once I've run it through Visco, then I'll bring it over to Lightroom. That's where we can sort of edit it a bit further, get the colors and this and that, get it to where I need it to be. And then if you really want to be getting some film vibes, you know, and I know that's pretty cringe to say, and I know even using the word cringe in 2023 is pretty cringe, but if you really want to take it to the next level, I also use that app. I don't use it very often, but I use Fuji,
Fuji, it's like a film simulator thing where it gives you light leaks and, you know, little bits and pieces, little artifacts that kind of feel like it's film. And I know it's all fake, and I know it's not real, and don't worry, I shoot enough film that I don't need to fake film, but if I want to get a vibe going, you can do it. You can do it. And it's always good because then you don't feel like you have to always shoot film. You've got the other option there to use a camera that can imitate it enough. And why that is so important is that what if you've got a workflow? What if you've got a Instagram page or a whatever page that you're running on these days, and you've got all your images and they're all film, and then you've shot a few bangers on digital that you really want to post, and it's just going to look a bit wrong next to all the film shots. Well, this can touch it up, and this can make it, you know, look a little bit more film, you know. Like, don't get me wrong, I know it's not film, I know you can't mimic that stuff, but I think this gives me enough of a Fuji film sim vibe that it keeps me happy. It definitely keeps me happy. And don't believe me? Let's check out some photos now. Let's go through some photos right now. Let me know what you think. Let's check these out. Let's go. Roll the photos.
That's how they should be. Okay, travellers, let me put these strings down, because those strings are smoking.
All right, do you see what I mean? Do you see what I mean?
Strings, they be smoking.
Like, are you sure about that? Like, it's. I think that the images are fantastic coming out of this camera. They're full frame. They've got a little bit of a grit to them. They've got a little bit of noise coming through. You put them through some filters and some editing apps, and you're ready to go. I really think the Canon 6D is an absolute banger of a camera, and it's got enough modern features that it can keep up with a lot of the big dogs of today, and it's not going to break the bank, and that's what I'm all about. I'm trying to save you money. Literally, I'm trying to save you money. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. This was just a quick run through. Video recording was a complete nightmare. I've had to record this like 4 or 5 different times, so apologies for the for the change of flow and audio. But hey, I've got a lot more coming out, and as always, I'll be catching you on that next one.